Okay, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's 1 hour workout from Target Cloud. It's great to see you here, some new faces and some old faces joining us today, so really good to see you on board. This is the first time we've looked at 1 hour workout for Webforms. We're hopefully introducing a few new ones this year, and we've got some lined up all the way to the end of June, so keep your eyes out for them each week. And today we're going to be looking at using Webforms and integrating them onto your website. I'm Duncan. I'm the Client Services Manager at Target Cloud. I work alongside Craig and our developers. And today I'm just doing the training session on my own. And Craig will be doing some of the other sessions, and we'll be supporting each other over the coming weeks. So today we're going to look at a basic introduction to forms and why you want to use them. Then we'll have a close look at Zoho CRM web forms, which are a form you can build inside the Zoho CRM system. And then we'll also look at a separate product that is part of the Zoho umbrella of products called Zoho Forms, which comes as part of Zoho One, or it can be a standalone product, and you can integrate it with your CRM and your websites. And then if there's any Q&A to look at the end of the session, we'll do that as well. As I said, use the Q&A option on the left-hand side to ask your questions, and we'll cover them hopefully at the end, maybe some as we go along. Okay, and then we'll look at the upcoming webinars we have at the end of the session. Okay, so let's have an introduction to forms. It's really just a basic introduction. Why do we use forms? Really, it's the main sort of lead generation process from your website. I've got a couple of stats here from via Zoho, via actually WordPress. 74% of companies use web forms to generate leads, and 49.7% of companies say it's the highest converting lead generation tool. But also another important thing is that 67% of people never finish filling in a form. And it's usually based on how you build the form. And there's lots of sort of in-depth marketing techniques to that. I think a lot of it is keeping it simple and getting the real details that you want, and then following up with some good old sales follow-up. Okay, so let's now jump into looking at Zoho CRM web forms. So I've got our demo system here as ever, and this is our demo CRM, which we work on for our 1 hour workouts. And this is our homepage. And to get to web forms, we move over to the setup icon. And some of you may have noticed in the CRM that the interface has slightly changed in the last couple of weeks. It's maybe not rolled out to everybody, but a lot of these little icons look different now. So I'm also having to learn what's happening here. But we've got the setup, which is now a cog rather than the screwdriver and the spanner. And we've got the setup here. Some of you will have access to a lot of these, some may not. It depends on the administrative privileges you have to your CRM. But in this developer space here, we've got web forms listed here. And there's a lot of in-depth development can go on here, but we're going to look at web forms, which not as scary as it sounds when it comes to development. Okay, so we have got a little demo here you could actually look at in terms of some of the things that are part of the web forms. And we've got form creation, which we'll mainly use here to build the form. You can do form analytics. We'll have a very brief look at and we'll see that when we build the form. And you can also do A/B testing, which we won't particularly cover, but just to say that means that's where you can actually implement two similar forms, but there might be some crucial differences. And over a period of time that you specify, you can do some online testing, live testing of two different forms to see which is the most successful. Try and gauge how you should be building your forms to attract visitors and people to download information. Okay, so let's click New Form. This is where it all starts. So we're going to just click a new form. And in web forms for Zoho CRM, we're really looking to build a basic contact form. What we'll say is there's nothing fancy to do here. It really is quite a basic form to just post up on your website and get some download some information that's immediately integrated into your CRM. So let's select new form, and we'll give the form a name. So we'll go contact us. And here's where you can select what module you want, basically the data to be submitted to. And generally, we see it's going to be leads. Most of them will be new inquiries. And there is obviously a bit of duplication that may occur, but that is managed in the CRM and with particular techniques. But it's just one of those things about building a database. There can be duplication. So I select create. I'm going to do it in the leads module. And then we come up with a fairly basic form. And on the left-hand side, we've got fields. If you've got more than one layout in your CRM, you'll have the option to apply that to different layouts. And some people do use different layouts for collecting information in leads or contact modules. And you'll see there's basic fields on the left-hand side. And these fields will generally match up with the fields that you have in your CRM. So if we go to the leads module here, and I'll select create lead, a lot of these fields on the left here, they're listed in here. But we don't want to have a large amount of information here. We basically want to get some basics in here to just start the lead generation process. And just down here, we'll look at a couple of these. We won't use them in the form today, but we will look at these file uploads. You have what's called a standard Captcha and a Recaptcha, and that's where you have the I am not a robot tick box on the front page. I'm not going to implement it in this, but I will show you a couple of things to do with that. And it's to try and stop spam being, or bots on the internet trying to spam you with inquiries, which is a nuisance. We have come across it. It does die down after a new form's been set up. It does increase, I should say, and then die down fairly sharply. And the Recaptcha should help in reducing that, although it's something that is ever evolving. And I know Zoho are working on a version 3 of this. These are the 2 versions they have so far. Okay, but it is a bit of an issue, but can be managed. Okay, so in this form, we've already defaulted to last name and company, and you'll see that that's because these got these red asterisks, and they're showing that they're mandatory fields within our CRM. So there's company, it's red line, it's mandatory, and last name is always mandatory in the CRM. It is an index field. We need to have this mandatory field, and that's what it uses to build up the data and index it. Okay, so let's build a really basic contact form. So I'm going to drag, if you see, you hover over the name or the field and drag and drop it into the location you want. We've got the first name in here. I think I'll drag over the mobile phone number. Let's imagine we're dealing with an individual here. So we'll drag over the mobile phone number. So I'll just pop that under here. I'll drag in the type. Now, we've got a field called type, and that's really for us, it is the in this demo system, it's the product that they might be, or service they might be interested in. And you can see it's a pick list. So that's we're a no frills or a fake music consultancy. So this is what they might be interested in if they want to select that. It's not mandatory. And the final one is, I've got one called website message. So I'm going to drag that over here, and you'll just see if I go in here, we've got that data here. So we've got the type. So because it's linked with the CRM, it's already pulled in the default drop-down list, and we've got the website message. And I've got it cordoned off in a little section here. We like to separate data with sections. Okay, so I'll just pop back to the web form here. And you might have seen, as I dragged and dropped, you can see we've got a settings cog here. So you can actually do a little bit of manipulation on these fields. So we could have mark as required ticked. So I click save. So you can see first name and last name. That's now, first name here is now marked as required. If I hover over this one here, it was already marked as required because it's a default mandatory field in the CRM. And here you can add hints. I'll do that on another one. So if you hover over, you'll see it's pretty basic here. Now, mark as hidden field, that's something we want, and I'll cover that in a second. But let's go to website message. Oh, sorry. I'm going to add a hint message. It could be a little icon or a little link. We'll just put the icon here. Just put a little bit of information in and click save. And here we are with the fields, although there's one more I'd like to put in, and it's lead source. So if I drag and drop lead source here, now what that's doing, it's going to tell me where the lead has come from when it hits the CRM. So in this case, I don't want the user to see, so I want to mark it as a hidden field. And I also want to give it a default value, and the default value is going to be web form. So these are listed in the CRM new lead module. So the default value is web form. Click save. So when this is downloaded or submitted from the web, it will complete the lead source field saying web form, and that's great for reporting at later dates. So we know that the lead source came from someone searching on the web. So the final thing to show you here is you can do some basic text manipulation here. So we can change the fonts, font size, we can have an underline or a font color, sorry. So we can change these. Maybe just change it, just a little different change here and apply that. But it is quite basic. I will emphasize this, and you can change the width and label alignment, okay, as we wish. But what we find with these kind of basic forms, really easy to build and instantly get your website linked with your website linked directly into your CRM. But we find that the code and the manipulation of what it looks like isn't great in here. It's not designed to be great, but most web developers we come across, we can give them the source code from here, and we'll show you how to do that, and they can manipulate and remove and change things as required to match it to the colors and the style of your website, and that's something that they can do, and it amazes me how clever they can be with that. Okay, and then this is another thing here. We've got the submit button. We've also got a reset button, which is quite an old style thing where if somebody is filling out a form, they want to reset the whole thing. We don't tend to have that on websites anymore. And that's something that can be removed by a web developer, but it's not, you can't remove it from this form. Okay, so next thing to do, if you want, is to preview. So you can see this here. As I said, you could add the, if I go to the advanced fields, you could go to this, add this Recaptcha, and this is what we call Recaptcha version 2. But what we don't have here, you need to add in what's called a site key and a secret key, and that's basically ways that set up your Captcha page with Google. If you're using Google, it's a link with Google to sort of make sure you've got some server side and some user validation, and this is what tries to stop bots from accessing and submitting data. They can be clever and overcome that, but you'd fill in these site keys. We've got a little demo here from our website where you get the site key, and these are provided by Google. When you register the domain, you register this web form application in this domain quite easily with Google, and then you get these keys and you apply them. Okay, so we're not going to do that just now, so I'll cancel. I'm going to select preview. We've got this preview here. You can see they've got this question mark help here. Choose your preferred service. So I'll close that and go to next. Now we've got the next page here, and this is where we can input some details of where the form is going to sit. Now, if it's going to sit on a single page, you can put in the name of the page. However, you may use this form on different pages throughout your website. You may have a contact us page link at the bottom of every page or on various different ones. And in some sites, we've seen that the same form's just been manipulated slightly and changed, and some of the information changed by a web developer because of it's on different parts of a website. If it's on different parts, I'll just put in the hashtag. And then in the landing page URL, as it says here, you can have a URL for visitor redirection when it's submitted. So I'm just going to put in, it won't work with this because it's a test system. We need to do some more work. It's just not a live domain, really. That's why. Assign owner. We can select a default owner when it's downloaded. I'll keep this to my username. You could have an assignment rule, which is built in the CRM, and that's set up where you have specific criteria from any download, any form download that assigns the lead based on some rules in the CRM. Tags, well, hopefully you've maybe remember what a tag is. It's just a little bit way of adding a little bit of extra information onto a record so you can identify it at a later date. I'm not going to do that. Enable double opt-in. Well, that's where you can send an email. It can't be, okay, yeah, oh, we've not put the email address in the form. That's a good point. So we can enable double opt-in, and that will allow somebody to be sent an email so they can submit the form, but also opt-in, confirm by responding to an email. And it's really just a way of making sure you're not getting too much rubbish information. You've got these other notifications you can send. You can notify the lead owner, which would be this user here, with a system-generated email, all from an email template that's built within the CRM. Okay, we select the template. I'm not going to do that just now. You can acknowledge the visitor, and you can send out an auto-response rule, and it could be an email saying, "Thank you very much for your inquiry. We'll be in touch in 24 hours. Again, we won't do that here. Visitor tracking, well, that is a really neat product from Zoho, which is Zoho Sales IQ, and it will track the visit to your website and what the visitor did and where they went. That's for another day, Sales IQ. And requesting approval, well, approvals are another part of the CRM where you can manage what work is done and who can do what work and when. And this really is to cover any sort of duplicates. You can set up approvals before the lead is submitted fully into the leads module. Again, it's often to check for spam or even a type of lead, and it can be allocated and approved before being allocated. But we won't cover that today. But that's just more details that you'll see here. So I'm going to just click save on this. I've got the landing page URL and the star. Click save, and that's done. And here is where you get the code. So I'm not going to copy that just now. I'm going to click done. You can see I've now saved the form. I'm going to go back into the form. So I'm in the form now, and you see I can edit the code here on the right-hand side. I've got different icons, and I missed out the key part here was email address. We want to have an email address. Okay, so again, I'll click next. We'll come back to this page just to make sure. If I click save, we've now got this copy code. So I will copy the code. That's now saved into my memory on this computer. And while we're here, you can see we've got 3 types of source code. We've got the basic source. It's all the HTML that's used to build this form. We can use embedded code, where you embed the form into a website. And iframe is similar to embedding, where it sits in, in WebTalk and iframe. It's just a section of a website, allowing you to cordon off the placement of this form. And you know what? We always find that the web developers want source code. Okay, so we've got the source code, and I've obviously copied it already, and I'll select done. So here we are. We're now with the saved list of our web forms, and you can see we've got analytics will be available here, and this will count all the visitors who got to your page that the form's on. It'll tell you how many people started completing the form and how many people actually submitted it. So we're not going to cover that just now, but you can see there's a wee little demo here, and you can also manage it over time. And then you've got your create A/B testing. We'll just flick on that to show you. You could create the A/B testing, choose the form, and then you basically create two slightly different versions of the form. But you can submit both, and you can dictate the sort of ratio of how many times you present each type of form, and then look at the results on your successful submissions. Okay, so we won't cover auto response rules and unsubscribe link. That's not particularly related to the web form, but this is us. We've built the web form now. Okay, so we've now got the form. If I click here again, just to show you earlier, we got these icons where we can edit, we can clone. This is where we can view the analytics, and that's these different this different information here. So again, we won't cover that today. And here is where we can get the code. So if I select get code, we get back to this page where I copied the source code, and that's done. So what I will do at this stage is now integrate it with our website. So hopefully this is going to work, because it's a little bit of live testing here. So imagine we've given it to a good web developer. They've looked at the code, and they can change the custom style sheets and the templates, and even a lot of the wording can be changed here. So they would go to the website, and we've got our demo here. It's actually Zoho sites that we're using. And I've got this basic template I just grabbed from Zoho sites to look at how you might do this. So I've got this no frills web form set up. I've opened it up in this separate window here, and I've got a contact us page. So there's a home page, about us, a gallery, and there's a contact page. So what would happen here? This is me in the actual building of the website. Okay, it's not really been published. We'll look at the preview. And so here I want to just add the code. So this is, I've just, there's obviously lots of website building software such as WordPress, and there is a WordPress plugin for, it's actually Zoho Forms, which I'll cover next. So I'll click Add Element, and it's basically, what do I want to add into this information, into this box that I've placed? I've placed a box on the website, and it is basically code snippet. Now we could, if we had the embed code, that would be the iframe and the embed source code that I've already mentioned. But in this case, we've got a code snippet. If I select code snippet, this would be for your web devs, but I know some people do this themselves as well. And then I'll paste the code as plain text. So this is the code that I pulled in I got from the web form we built. It's probably quite long for what we've built, but that's as I said, it can be manipulated, and there's a lot of pieces of information to do with Zoho, and that's going to be going to be integrated into the CRM. That's what will submit it to the right place. So if I select OK, so you can see I've got this here. I need to publish the site. I'm not going to publish it quite yet. I'll just do a preview. So if I select preview, again, maybe it doesn't look most fantastic, but you can see we've now got this contact us page, and this is the form that we've built. Now that element I've added is making it forcing it over a bit to the left, but that again, it's something that can be managed by a web developer. So let's just go in and do submit some information here. So what should we put? So let's just put in someone who's interested in a gigs. Just put in this information. You can see these are you've got the mandatory fields. Just put in, I think I'll put in any. So you can, there's the drop-down list you can see. So this person's interested in tour management. One day we might get back to that. Okay, so reset button. We can get to that bit of code and get rid of it. I'm going to click submit here. So as part of the you can see it's now redirected to the landing page I mentioned, although it's not connecting because we're not really got a live site here. This is a demo site. So I've submitted that form. If I now go to the home, the leads in the CRM, you can now see that this lead has been submitted via the website, and you can see the lead source is Webform, and you can see the lead owner is also the same user that was requested in that form. So if I select the lead there, you can just see we've got this basic information here. So that's the lead being added. And following on that, we can use workflows to create tasks or notifications to let relevant people know that a new lead has been submitted. And you can see there's the message we have here. Okay, the lead source down here in our system information, we like to be quite neat on that. That's listed down here, so we can start reporting on that. And just as a little aside, let's go back and look at the web form here. You can now see there's been one visit. We've had 100% visits started and submitted. So this is where you start building up your overall analytics, and you can see this conversion is 100% because I have had one visit and one submission. Okay, so really that's a sort of whistle-stop tour of web forms. Not that difficult to build. If you have a web dev who you want to help add this to your site, they can manipulate the form, but from the basic start to finish, it doesn't take that long to do, and you can see data is already coming into the CRM. Okay, I'm just going to take a minute to have a little glass of water, and they'll then move on to Zoho Forms, which is a slightly different product, is more powerful, but a lot of the same principles. So I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, thanks for that. So that's the Zoho CRM web forms, and we've integrated that to our website. So now we'll look at Zoho Forms itself, which is part of the Zoho One suite of products, and you can purchase it separately as well. And it's a really powerful form building tool, which adds more to the building than you can get with the web forms. Although I like how neat and quick and easy it is to get a form onto a website using the CRM web forms. Okay, so let's go over to Zoho Forms. So you browse to forms.zoho.com or zoho.eu, or select it from your Zoho One panel. Let's go to the home page here and our forms. And there's a lot more to it. I'll be honest, we're not going to be able to look at every single aspect of it. The idea here is to give you a general feel for what's going on in Zoho Forms. But what I aim to do is build a form that can be used to submit some data for, say, a specific event. And in this case, it would be, say an event that we're going to run as a music consultant. The forms can be posted on a website, but you could also just save the form with its own URL and send that to people. So it doesn't particularly appear on the website, but it will allow you to submit data into a database and or into CRM and other Zoho products. So here we have forms, and you can see on the left we have got these icons here where you've got forms, and this is where you build the forms. You can create reports based on the submission, the data that's submitted in the forms. We can create tasks based on the data being downloaded, and create tasks such as you can in CRM to follow up on form submissions. We've obviously got users in the CRM. And the approvals, again, it's like the approval system that was in CRM, where you can sort of vet certain leads or certain information that's downloaded based on certain criteria, and someone who's got responsibility can give approval for other things to happen. Okay, again, we're not going to go in depth to this. Really just go into the forms itself and give you an idea of what we're going to do here. You can see you can share forms. Now, there's always been a little bit of an issue in the past with sharing of forms, so that's been updated by Zoho. You tend to find if you've got an owner of a form, it can't really be updated by anyone else, but we've now got the ability to share. Organizational forms, well, they're just ones that have been created by any users in the organization and shared. And you've got folders that you can create and share. Okay, so this is the basic front page. So let's jump straight into looking at a new form. So you can see I'll go back to forms here. You can see I've got two forms here already. What I'll do, actually, before we create the new form, I just want to hover over these and actually show you what these icons mean. Now, all entries, that's actually going to be, I'll open this up. It'll take you to, it's empty because we've not had any, but it is just basically all the entries made in the form will be listed here in sort of rows, a bit like a spreadsheet. And they can be exported. If I click here, actually exported here as a CSV or a PDF. And this is where you might not download them somewhere. You may not bring it into your CRM. You may just want to keep the entries in here, so it'll keep all the entries you have, and you can actually do this is what you do the reporting on. As you can see, you can assign tasks. You can merge documents. It's a lot more powerful than the web forms. So you have the different possibilities to review the data, and these are the columns that we can add. Okay, let's just go back to the forms where I hovered over. You can see reports, settings, analytics, and audit. So these are different options when looking at forms, the form builder, and this is the settings. So we're looking at these when we create our own form. Okay, and the way you edit is by selecting this edit pencil here. You can mail it, you can share, and you can also do some other options. Duplication, enabling, changing ownership, which is often quite important if someone needs to update and edit. Okay, so without further ado, let's go to a new form. Give it a form name, so it'll be, we'll call it a music event. We can put in a description if required. Before I do go on, let me just show you form templates. In here in CRM, you can see we've got a list of pre-built types of forms that you may want to use, and you can update and edit as you go along, rather than building a form from scratch. So you can see we've got a list of pre-built forms already from Zoho Forms. So example, I'm doing an event registration. I may want to use this form. You can see it's quite heavily customized. I'm not often a fan, unless it really looks good, I'm not often a fan of doing that. I'd like to build our own, really, but you can see how quick and easy it is just to create an easy, decent looking form with lots of fields already in it. And this is not to be confused with something I'll show you later where we have themes. So this form is a basic form, and you can see it's got theme around it, which is the blue colors and the pictures. And there's also the option to create a blank form, but then apply themes to it that you might like. So we'll look at that in a sec. But really, I want to create a blank form here. We'll create the music event form. And it brings us to the form builder. So we've got the builder here. I'll just quickly go across the top here and let you know what these mean. Rules, well, these are where you can configure rules based on information in the form. So usually with field rules, it might be if A is selected, then show this list of fields. If B is selected, show a different list of fields. And so hopefully we can show you that as we go along. You can also build in form rules, as it says, what happens when the form is submitted, and page rules. And that's if you have different pages to your form. So you might find you have an application form and there could be 3 or 4 pages to it, but if you select a certain field in page 1, it jumps you to page 3 because page 2 is irrelevant. And that's quite a neat way of building a form. Settings here, well, we'll have a look at these where you build in a lot of the background build data to the form and what you're going to do and manage it, how you're going to manage that. Themes, I mentioned already. You can pick your own default, which is, it goes to the default, which is quite blank and not really touched. But yeah, as you can see, we've got these themes down here. Some of them look okay, some of them not so okay, but again, the code can be pulled from this and be manipulated by a web developer. So always bear that in mind. Sharing, we'll cover that again, and this is where you have the link to the actual form itself, as well as being able to integrate it, and the integrations to your CRM. And you can see it's not just CRM, there's lots of other places you could submit this data to, including non-Zoho products. And webhooks you can use to submit it to websites and other areas. Okay, and then we've got the approvals, which we've mentioned before, which we won't have here. Okay, so let's go to the builder and just show you some of the fields. We probably won't have time to look at all of them, but hopefully we'll get a good feel for what the fields are and why you might use them. Okay, so again, we've got basic fields and we've got advanced fields. Quite similar to the web forms, but more advanced. The basic fields, as it says, these are ones you see in most forms. Advanced fields do a little bit more for you, such as subforms, links to Zoho CRM, where you can pull in data from the CRM based on who might be submitting formulas. So we'll look at a couple of these, but not all of them. Okay, so I want to build a form to advertise an event, try and get people to register for an event. So let's start building. Let's just do it. We've got this name field. This is a really good field to use for the form. Again, it's drag and drop. If I drop it over here, you can see this name field contains automatically first and last name. And so that means we don't have to drag in a single line for name and a single line for first and last, 2 of them. It's built into this special name field. You'll also see when you drag and drop, you've got the cog, you've got the duplicate and bin or delete. So if you're not happy with that, using this field, you can delete it. But if you look at the properties, so again, we go quite in depth here, you can make a lot of changes to this. So name, the field label we could change. We can change the name of the length of the field. So let's do large. And you can look at the name elements here. And you can see title is not there, but we can change the names. So you can see that if I've ticked that, it's gone mandatory. But you can also change. I'll change that to surname. Okay, so you can just change the way it looks a little bit. And there's other ways you can do that as well. We can see we've got the visibility of hiding a field. So that would be the lead source, as we did in the other form. And we've also got GDPR or related, GDPR as it was called. I'm not sure what we're going to call it now in Britain, but you can mark data as personal and encrypt it if it could be a potentially passport numbers or something like that. Over in the top right, we've got rich text. And what that means is we can actually manipulate in a reasonably basic way, a bit like the web forms, we can manipulate the style of the text in that form or field. So quite a lot you can do just to that single field. I'll just click save here. And then I click the X to get rid of that. So we've got the first name and last name. I'm going to build in some more. I'm going to drag over email. And one thing I probably should have mentioned when we did this before is when we drag over sort of fields like email, date, phone number, website, it will expect to see data input in the format that is the same as an email should be. So it will be expecting an @ sign, it'll be expecting the .co.uk or the .com, and it will give a warning to the end user that it is incorrect. So just bear that in mind as well. So it's a really neat, it's validation of the data. Again, if I look at the properties, you get the option to change some data, add more instructions. You could have an initial value. It's not relevant in the email address, but have initial value. And again, just you can see character limits, and this validation is mandatory. I'm not going to select these. We'll just save it as we see. And then I have to click X. But you can see you've got lots of settings options to update. So let's do that. I'm going to quickly drag over. Phone number, company name. So company name, there's nothing here that says company name. We've got some default ones that are already built. So what we use is a single line. I'll click the properties. I'll click company name. And you can see again, we've got the small, medium, and large. I'm going to put large in here. If I click save, then click the X, you'll see this is medium, this phone one. So it only goes to halfway across the form, whereas this one goes over to the right-hand side. Okay, let's drag in website. What I'd like to do as well, now, if you noticed earlier, we had a type of service in the CRM. So it's like gig management, tour management, catering, etc. So that was a pick list. So what it's called is a drop down in Forms. It's confusingly, but it's a drop down. So I'm going to add this drop down, and I'm going to call it. I'm going to just say what service you're interested in. Okay. And you can see this is now a choice. So what I'm just going to have this as a radio button. I'm going to say what main service. I'm not asking them to list lots of them. I just want to put in them to select one. So to be quick, I'm just going to add 3 in. Like what it should be is match the what we have in the CRM. So because it will pre-fill fields if we do actually. Let's just add those 3. So they're matching what I have in the CRM. Okay, there should be 3 more in the drop-down list, but let's just for the sake of speed, we'll leave it at that. So that means if you are integrating it to the CRM, it will automatically fill the type field which was in the CRM. So that's this. If I go find the type, where is it here? Tour management. So you've got these that are listed down here. There's quite a few actually. So you want that to match. So go back to the form. I'm just going to click save, and I'm happy enough for that. Okay, and click X. So that's over here. So that's just done a radio. So that's that drop down. Oh no, it's not. It's a drop down select, like a pick list. Oh, I didn't want to click that. I'll click delete. I didn't want to click that. But you also have radio buttons, and you also have multi-select. So what I'm going to add in here now is let's see, a multi-select. So this is the multiple choice. So let's drag that in here. And I'm going to say this is what this. So this is an event. What day are you end? Okay, and I'm going to say pick max of 2. Okay, so this is a little bit of validation going on here. What day are you planning to attend? So let's say it's a 3-day event, but we're repeating the events during each day. Okay, so Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the choice limit, I'm going to put a maximum of 2 because I've said pick a max of 2. We don't need to, we can sort the choices. I'm not going to here. I could make it mandatory, or we could hide the field. We're not going to do that. That's where we do the lead source. So let's just crack on and save that. I have to close. That's a little bit annoying. You have to close it each time, but you can see that now says pick max of 2 underneath. And what I'm going to add here, I'll show you about the layout rules. I'm going to add in a radio button under here, because I want, if somebody picks Monday, let's say our Monday, we've got a morning session and an afternoon session. So I want to say, if you pick Monday, let me know which session. Let's say AM or PM. And I'm just going to put in AM, PM, and I'm going to minus here to get rid of that. I'm happy just to save. You can set, you can configure the fields, the radio buttons to be in columns, different rows, side by side. Let's do side by side. I'm going to click save. And then click X to come out. Yeah, there we go. So I've got this AM and PM. I'll show you. We're going to use the rules to look at that. And for now, I think that's all we'll use. But you can see we've got these other, well, not all we'll use. You've got these other fields we could use. I think I might add an image upload box because I want them to upload their company logo, because I might print some badges for them. We can have an upload limit, allowed file types. There's so much to look at, and I want to work out that there's not enough time. But there's the company logo. And I think the last thing I'm going to do, or the last 2 things, let's have a single line field again. It says lead source. And the default, so the initial value, the default is event form. I'm just going to put event form. That will download. If we do choose to put it to the CRM, it will put that in the lead source field. And I want to mark as hidden. Click save. Click the X. That's down here. And one last thing, let's put in an advanced field. I'm going to put in the signature so that they can sign it. And they obviously don't need to for a registration, but that's what I'll do. Okay, so what do I do now? I can click access form up here. And that's just showing you what the form will look like. So in a really quickly, basic way, we've now updated, built a form. Name and surname, the email, the phone, company name, the website. So you can see all down here, the ones we built. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. You can see we've got these forms, these fields here. Okay. So I could fill that in just now as a test. I'm not going to do that just now because I want to look at some of these things across the top here. So we've built the form. Okay. If I click the home page, the button and the forms, you'll see we've got this music event now created here. So we've now got 3 forms in their forms. So if I go back to edit, it's going to open. So I want to look at rules quickly. Okay. So I'm going to configure a field rule. So let's configure now. Rule 1. I'm just going to have one rule. And I'm going to say if, what day are you planning on attending? So if it's Monday, I'm going to say show a specific field, and I want it to be the AM or PM. Now I could say if Tuesday, it might only be PM that we're running the event. So this is where you'd build in different rules, but I'm just saying if it's Monday, show the AM, PM field. So if I click add, it's saved it and closed it. So you can see that's now saved in here. So let's access the form just to demo what happened here. So you can see this AM, PM has disappeared now. But if I select Monday here, it's now appeared. Okay, so that's a rule just to show and hide fields based on another selection. So I'll close that. Now settings, again, we've not got long left, but there are lots of things to look at. So we'll quickly look up and down here. Do remember for the form to change the date settings. I'm just typing London to get to Greenwich Mean Time. You can have geolocation enabled, so you can find out where the respondent's from. You can see. And there's lots of other advanced options to use here. Review before submission. Well, I'm not going to cover these because it is more advanced. Or not enough time, really, but a lot of it is really good. I want to save that change to the date and the time zone. Acknowledgements and redirects. You can actually create you've got a basic thank you page that will be popped up, but you can add a link to another page, your own pre-built thank you page. You can add Google Analytics or Facebook tracking codes, again, a bit more advanced, and that's something we work with web devs. You can allow people to save and resume the filling in of the form if it's a large one. Double opt-in, which we've talked about. Response settings is that you can allow someone who submitted a form to then update it at a later date. PDF settings is good. You can actually send the form in a PDF to the person who filled it in. And there's various other options here. Notifications, email notifications to people within the users of the forms or of the CRM if it's downloaded there. And you can email the respondent as well. Okay, so I'm not going to go over all of these. I'm quite happy with what we've got just now. Themes, as I showed you earlier, you can pick themes to apply to the form, or, and again, I'm not going to go in this in depth because there's so much you can do, you can change parts of the form yourself. So you've got the background, the wallpaper, you've got headers and bodies of the actual form. If we have any buttons within the form, you can change the style of them. So really, this is more in depth. You can actually build and style your own form within the form builder, as well as choosing default themes and default forms. So I'm going to click out of here because I'm not going to really go for that just now. Again, it's a time thing. We can share, and this is important here because I'm going to look at this. This is the URL for the form. So if I copy that and paste it, we can see we've got access to that form. I'll go back to the forms. We can shorten the URL and get a little shortened version of it. Copy that. And you can also do tracking, and basically you have a referral website. What website did it come from? If you have different sites, different parts of your site. So this is the sharing of it. Okay, and you can share publicly to particular users in the CRM, in the forms, or all users. Okay. Integrations, again, we're not going to do this bit, but we could integrate this with the CRM. So what we do is select the module you want, and then you can see we've got the two default fields here, the two mandatory fields. That's what it's called in the CRM, and this is what it's called in forms. So you can see last name would map to surname. Company, if I scroll down, would be company name, and you go on and build the mapping of these forms into the CRM. And important things to note are, if you've got workflows built in the CRM, you take the automation process management. If you want to send a PDF of the form and a PDF of the signature, you select attach. So we've got the logo in this case and the signature and a PDF of the form. Okay, so I could select done. That means it's going to appear in the record in the related lists within the CRM. You'll see those images. And again, we need to, if there's any assignment rules, this needs to be ticked to trigger them once it reaches the CRM. Okay, so I'm going to click integrate. I'm not. I'll set as mandatory. Yeah. Integrate. I should have set company name as mandatory. So that integration is in place. Okay, so we jumped quite quickly past that, but again, it's more advanced, and we'll probably be doing another session more focused on this sort of thing in the future. But if you do need any help with this sort of thing, obviously we're here to help you. So we'll just do this music event again. So let's fill it in so you can see the end result. And we'll put in a phone number. So then they're not all mandatory, but let's see what we can take. Interested in tour management, Monday, let's say PM. We could choose a file for the company logo. So I'm just going to add a file from my computer, and then we can put a signature in. And you can clear that if you like. So I'll click clear and press submit. And there's our default thank you, which could be a redirect to a pre-built website page. And again, that is built in the settings of the form in this sort of acknowledgements and redirects area. So these are places to really have a good look at. So what, again, I want you to show here is we've got this all entries button, which we saw earlier, and it's now downloaded that information into the entries. So as these build up, you'll get a bigger picture. It's just like a big spreadsheet. So you don't even have to have the CRM to start using forms. Your data is here. You can see the logos. And this green here is showing that the new record has been added into the CRM. So if we just quickly have a look and refresh our leads module. It should be in here somewhere. You can see there, the lead name is Parton. Okay, it's not pulled in the first name because I didn't integrate, only integrated those two fields. Okay, so a little bit of a whistle-stop tour of Zoho Forms in a very quick fashion. It's now 11, but I do hope you got something out of that and it piqued your interest to sort of investigate more some of the ways you can manipulate these forms. It's really powerful, and you can see how quickly and easily I built a form there and then integrated it into the CRM to save the data and then start working on it. Okay, the last thing to say, I don't think there's any Q&A popped in. There isn't. I don't know if that's good or bad, but hopefully you've enjoyed the session and found it really interesting. I'm just going to show you the upcoming webinars. This is for the next 2 months, and we've got them listed all till the end of June. So next week we're looking again at analytics, but more at the dashboards that you can build. We'll look at the mobile apps, and we're going to look at some new features within the CRM, which is wizards. We'll look at data importing. We'll look at blueprints, where you can implement process-driven working in the CRM, and then another new feature of segmentation. So that's coming over the next couple of months. So just like to say thanks for attending. Hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you keep your eye out for some more of the invites to join. Okay, thanks very much. Thanks very much, Karen. Lovely to hear from you. We'll maybe speak soon, actually, about campaigns and email templates. Thank you very much, and hope you all have a good day. Thank you.